Hello Wargamers, it's me Callum from Tabletop Banter, and in today's video I'm going to walk us through the Psychic phase in Heralds of Ruin Kill Team, specifically the Heresy side of things. So basically there have been a few changes. It's quite minimal, so it won't take long to go over. So this video is going to be a little bit shorter than the Movement phase one. I'm trying to keep a phase per video, so if there's ever a time you want to go back, refresh your mind, or if someone's coming in and they don't know anything and they just want to learn about specific phases, then that's easier to do so. It'll log it a bit better as well. So in today's video, of course, I've got the table set out in front of me. We're going to get out some models and have a look at the exact sort of workings of the Psychic phase in Heresy Kill Team. So without further ado, let's go down to the table. Okay, so in front of you, you can see that I have these same three Iron Warriors. This time we have a Word Bearer's Lexicanum, so that's effectively a librarian. Now, Psychic in Heresy Kill Team has certainly been brought back a little bit, so it can get a bit out of hand otherwise, to be honest. And so access to Psychers is limited, access to the bigger Psychic powers is also limited, so it's more of a tool rather than a crutch at this level of game, and I think that kind of makes for a better game because of it. So the first biggest difference when we're talking about Psychers is how they generate powers. So the generation of powers is totally ignored as from the rulebook, and it is done by a different manner. So there will be a list of Psychic powers by the entry's name. For example, by the Lexicanum, there are a list of 4 or 5 different powers that they are able to choose from, and you actually select the power. Now, there's no Psychic Mastery, there's no rolling for random powers, you just pick, and that's why some of the less powerful ones have been picked, and you go from there. Now, if there isn't a listing next to the model, there is a listing in the core rulebook instead. It has a list of available powers, and once again, you pick from them rather than roll, which means you get slightly more selective powers, so you can specialise, I suppose, and I prefer it, because it means your Psycho who reads the appropriate literature to learn said Psychic powers or invests time in honing certain Psychic skills isn't rolling randomly, and on a small scale it doesn't, it's not too bad. So that's the first big difference. The second big difference is generating Psychic dice, or I call them Winds of the Warp, but that's not what they're called. Warp charge. So normally in Heresy you roll d6 and you add the number of mastery levels. Well, they've just toned it back slightly for this, so it's D3 plus 1 plus the number of mastery levels. Now, most mastery levels are capped, and they're kept quite low, so here we've got a mastery level 1. So, for example, I rolled a 6, and this time you can see I'm using my Emperor's Path dice, my lucky Emperor's Path dice. All of the Heresy-related stuff is rolling hot. So there we go. So I got D3, so 6 on a D3 is 3, plus 1 for the old base, and then plus 1 for having an extra mastery level, so that puts me at 5 Psychic dice. And rolling out a Psychic power works in exactly the same way as Heresy. So it's, you need a 4+ to cast, you'll have to equal or better the warp charge rating, and you've got to select units and so forth. It's fairly remedial, me going through that in front of you right now. The only other difference is how area effect works. So for example, you have some powers which are novas. I think that's particularly in Pyromancy. And if there is a nova, it hits every unit, but you only roll once for Deny the Witch. So it's not once per unit, you just roll once. Other things to note are once you've manifested a Witchfire power, you may not run in the shooting phase. So that sort of nerfs that sort of quick mobility that you can sort of manipulate in Heresy. Blessings and Malediction powers that say target a unit or units have the following amendment. If it says you select a unit or a unit, it actually has an area of 3 inches, and every affected model inside that is affected. So for example, if they were working together and I put a buff on this guy, this chap here is also in 3 inches, so he also benefits. He does not. So that's an interesting sort of, again, use of grouping models and running groups, almost like units, like little teams in a kill team. So maybe something to consider as you go about sort of moving around the board, you'll probably want to take things in groups of 1 or 2. It also helps with morale tests, and we'll get there later on as well. And yeah, that's about it really. So yeah, that's the psychic phase pretty much summed up. Like I said, it is a shorter video this time round. There's a lot less to go over, but it's still worth doing because there are changes. The warp charge change is nice, and again, it tones the scale of the game back. The less psychic power and the ability to pick, again, tones it down to that kill team level and makes it quite enjoyable. So that's it for this week. Thanks ever so much for watching. Of course, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Comment below, let me know if it was clear enough. If there are any questions you have, of course, don't hesitate to ask me those questions. And hopefully we can sort of crack on through this series, and then when we're finished with it, like I say, get out some games and play some proper games and have some nice battle reports. I'll be using this map and some nice terrain that Harry made up and so forth. And that's it. So yeah, thanks ever so much for watching, guys. As ever, see you in the next one. Bye for now.